always, if you are new here, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Y'all, the end of February means that I have been in Chicago for 6 months now, and that's actually mind-blowing to me. Like, I feel like the time has flown by and drug on all at the same time. So today I kind of want to give a 6-month in a new city update and just kind of what my experience has been and maybe some tips to help you along the way if you're in the same shoes as me, about to be in the same shoes as me. So in case you haven't been keeping up with my move, I did move to Chicago at the end of August 2023. So I have been here for 6 months now, which is wild. I moved from Atlanta, where I had lived for 7, 8 years in college and then all after college. I got a job up here, but then I also was just really seeking a different experience. I was extremely comfortable in Atlanta. I had so many friends in Atlanta. I had a very busy social life. I was very, very comfortable in Atlanta, and there's a beauty in that. But I felt like I was at a point in my life where I was having this year of just a lot of change personally. I was doing a lot of work on myself, and I felt like I needed to separate from my old life for a little while and just get a new experience, meet some new people, step outside of my comfort zone. So that is kind of the mindset I was in when I moved up here to Chicago. And I had been to Chicago before. I had visited, but never spent any significant time here. And I had moved away from Atlanta once before, but not even for a full year, and I wasn't really committed to it. I kind of knew it was super short term, it wasn't the move that I was looking for. So coming up here, I really just wanted to get the full experience, right, and see what it was like. And I wanted to move somewhere where I didn't know anyone, where I didn't have a lot of friends, where I really had to put myself out there and again step outside of my comfort zone and build a life for myself. I've never had to do that. I have kind of had built-in best friends ever since college, and meeting people when you're in college, making friends when you're in college, it's so easy. Life is just super social, and then that kind of continues afterwards if you stay in the same city that you went to college in, and that was kind of my experience. So I had never really had to make friends as an adult. I had never really had to build a life from scratch as an adult. So I wanted to get that full experience. And that is what led me to Chicago. Now, I just want to start by saying, this shit has been way harder than I anticipated. I really had no idea how hard it was going to be to move to a new city where I didn't know anyone and start all over. I thought, I'm a social girl. I like to go out. I like to have a good time. I like to be out and about. I'm active and I'm involved in a lot of different things. This won't be that bad, right? It'll just take me a month or two to get my feet up underneath me. You meet a person here, you meet a person there. No. No, that is not what it has been like at all. I am 6 months in and I still don't really feel super comfortable here. I don't really feel like I have a friend group yet. I don't really feel like I have a super tight grasp on the city and just my lifestyle here. I'm in a routine and I'm happy here, but it's nothing like what my life was in Atlanta. I don't feel nearly as settled and comfortable, and I don't really feel like I have a comfort zone yet here at all. And I did not expect to be saying this 6 months in. I thought that I would be a lot more comfortable and a lot more settled, and it's just not how it's happened for me. So I think that one of the kind of biggest shocks to the system, I guess, for me, is that when you move somewhere and you don't know anyone, or even when you just move to a new city in general, you feel like the new person all the time. everywhere you go, I feel like I'm on 24/7. I'm always having to meet new people. I'm always having to introduce myself. I'm always having to explain this or explain that or get their story or try to make friends or be involved in whatever I'm doing. Like, it can be a little exhausting. It can be a little exhausting to be the new person. And I say that coming from, like I said, my life in Atlanta, I was so comfortable. I knew people everywhere that I went. People had known me for years. Like, there wasn't this, I was surrounded by people that I didn't always have to be on for. And it's given me a newfound appreciation for the people in my life and the relationships in my life that I don't have to be on for, that my social battery does not have to be maxed out for, that I just feel super, super comfortable with, because it has been 6 months of like, okay, we're about to go socialize. Like, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, it can get a little tiring. And y'all, making friends is so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. Like, okay, when I moved up here, I knew one guy when I moved up here from Atlanta, and we've definitely hung out at times, and he's introduced me to people and things like that. But not having a single girlfriend moving up here has been really, really difficult. I came from a pretty solid friend group in Atlanta, guys and girls. We had known each other for years. I had a couple of extremely close girlfriends. They've also known me for years. Like, extremely tight friendships is what I'm coming from. And then I come here and I'm like, oh my God, like, I have had a really hard time making friends. And I knew that making friends as an adult was a lot more difficult than making friends in your early 20s, as a teenager, as a kid, whatever it may be. Like, I knew that, but I didn't realize to like what degree. So since I've been here, I will say when I first moved here, I mean, it was a solid like 3 months of me not really having a single girlfriend, which was hard. And I've made a couple since then. I have one girlfriend here who is like my tightest girlfriend here. And we definitely do a lot of things together. We hang out at least like once a week, whatever. And like from there, I've met some other girls, but like, I don't feel like I've got like a girl group, right? Like, I don't feel like I also don't have like a friend group, right? Like, I always thought when I came up here, like, it would be a measure of like how long it took me to get into a group chat, right? Like, and I'm not there yet. Like, it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I will say that I have had a lot of luck on Bumble BFF and Facebook groups. So there's always a lot of Facebook groups in whatever city you're in for like people that are trying to make friends. For me, Bumble BFF has been really awesome. My one girlfriend that I was talking about that I like a lot, we met in a roundabout way through Bumble BFF. And I have actually just recently started using Bumble BFF again, because like moving here at the end of August, right? Like, the weather was still great. I had about like 3 months of really good weather when I first moved here, and then winter hit, and I think that definitely had a lot to do with it. I'm extremely grateful that I made those couple friends before winter hit, or else I think winter would have been really, really brutal had I not known anyone. The city really shuts down in the wintertime. It's a completely different vibe. There's like, the energy is dead around here in the winter, but the minute that the weather starts to get nice, the energy in the city is just, it's like nothing I've ever felt before. It's something that I love so much about this city. And the weather has started to pick up. It's sunny again during the day. We're having some like 50, 60 degree days. Like, it's been really nice out in the latter half of February. And so that's like really inspired me to want to start making friends again. And so I have recently gotten back on Bumble BFF. And y'all, I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it out there. Like, making friends as an adult is literally like dating. Like, you have to put yourself out there. You have to make the effort. You have to go on these hangouts or go on these friend dates, whatever you want to call them. Like, you really have have to put yourself out there. You have to make an effort to keep up with the relationships, to keep in contact with people, to make sure that you don't go multiple weekends without seeing someone. If you are super interested in building a friendship with them, like, it's a lot of work. And I didn't realize, one, how difficult it was to find like-minded people, but also how difficult it was to cultivate and keep those friendships. Because as an adult, you don't think about the fact that, like, you all have busy lives, right? Like, you all have other things to worry about. You have other responsibilities. You have other friends that you're trying to keep up with. And so making new friends requires, like, both parties to carve out the time for each other and invite each other to things and put yourself out there. It really does take a lot of effort. And I think one of my biggest struggles is that I have a hard time not comparing new friends to my old friends, because the reality is that I had those old friends for years. Like, they have known so many versions of me. They have so much of my history. We have so much history together, so many memories together, and new friends are not going to be like that off rip. Like, the vibe is not going to be the same. It takes time to cultivate that, like, relaxation between friends, that comfortability between friends, the trust between friends. Like, all of that takes time. And it's been tough for me to not compare new to old and keep the same energy and enthusiasm about maintaining those new friendships as I did about maintaining my old friendships. So yeah, dude, making friends has just been really, really way more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. I think my entire experience here in Chicago and my entire outlook on my time in Chicago is going to completely change once I feel like I have a couple solid girlfriends that I feel like I can, you know, reach out to do simple things like go on walks and get coffee and breakfast, but also do fun things together like brunch and go out and dinner and drinks. Like, I need friends. I feel like the one thing I'm looking for is and I've said this before, that all you need is one. You need one good friend that y'all are both agreeing, okay, now we're gonna branch out, right? You need one person that is just down to do things with you and explore and try new things and invite you to things, and then you start to build from there. And I'm still on the hunt for my one I'm down if you are friend. Okay, like, that is the type of friend that I'm looking for, the one that I don't have to, like, question if they're gonna want to do this or, like, wonder if they're into it or whatever it may be. Like, if I'm down, if you are. That's the friend I'm looking for, and I feel like once I find that person, my experience here is going to completely shift. But it takes time, and honestly, I think that moving here at the end of summer was kind of a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because I didn't waste a summer not really having my feet up underneath me and not really being comfortable, but it also made it a lot more difficult to try and make friends into the colder months. So just a little bit of like a catch-22 there, I guess. That also leads me to talk about keeping up with your old friends. And this is also like way more of a task than I thought it was gonna be. And it's not a task, like it's not, I don't feel like it's a burden at all, but it's a lot more of an intentional thing than I expected it to be. Was so used to having my friends with me every single weekend, to being a part of multiple group chats with the same people, to doing all of the same events and things like that. So it wasn't like keeping up with each other's lives was just natural. We see each other all the time. We talk all the time. Like it's just easy. And now that we live in different cities and we're living lives that like the other really doesn't know that much about, it's difficult to keep up with people. It takes intentional effort to share your life and also ask about the other person's life, and be sure to keep up with what's going on in their life. Like you actually have to pay attention to what is going on in your long distance friendships. You have to keep up with what's going on in those friendships and really be tuned into what they're saying and listen and keep up with it as best you can and be interested and be engaged. And like, yes, that does come naturally, but it's also really easy to get caught up in your own life and let those friendships fall to the wayside and not check in as much as you should and not do the FaceTimes and not be in the group chats and not be sharing your life. Like, it's a little difficult. Like, it's a little heartbreaking when you realize that you are no longer an intricate part of their day-to-day, week-to-week life. Like, you don't know the people that they're talking about in their stories. You don't know the places that they're talking about in their stories. You don't know the drama and the backstory and the this and the that. And that has been probably one of the hardest parts for me, is watching my friends have these lives away from me and realizing that as much as we do keep in touch and as much as they do know about my life and I do know about theirs, there's just elements of our lives that we no longer understand because we're just not a part of them. And that is a really hard realization and something that I have definitely struggled with because I love my friends. I have a handful of friends that they mean the absolute world to me, and realizing that my life and their lives are distancing for right now. I don't think they'll always be that way, but there's just a little more distance than I'm used to. And it's definitely been hard to be in a city where I don't feel like I have close friendships and watching my friends in other cities continue their lives and me not really be a part of it. Like, it's way harder than I thought it was going to be. I also have felt a little bit of homesickness, which I wasn't totally expecting because I don't know, I don't really miss home. It's not home that I miss, it's the people. And I think my lack of comfortability here and just winter in general in Chicago is high-key depressing. I think it's just, that level of comfortability that I miss and sometimes that I ache for, to just have easy conversation with people and just be able to sit in a room and not feel like I have to talk and not feel like I have to keep the conversation going. Like, that is kind of the element. The comfortability, I think, is what I'm homesick for more than anything. I've definitely missed my mom a ton. I've been sick up here. And there's just times where I just want to hang out with someone that requires no effort. And that's what home is. Home is comfort, home is easy, home is no effort. And so I've definitely had that element of homesickness. I have been home twice since I moved, both relatively short trips. I went home for the holidays and then I went home to get my car and drive it back up here. And both were really good trips and both breathed life back into me. So I will say that if you do find yourself being homesick, finding a way to plan little short trips home or have people come and visit you is a great way to kind of curb that feeling. Also, y'all, I love being alone. I have always loved being alone. I have always thrived being alone and having that space and that time for myself. But oh my God. I did not realize how much time I would be spending alone when I moved up here. Obviously, I knew that I didn't know people and that it would take time, but like I said, I wasn't expecting it to take quite this much time. And living in Atlanta, I mean, I just had friends around me all the time. So even when I was doing like silly errands and stuff like that, like I would do them with friends. And there's a lot of time that I spend alone. I also live alone, and sometimes I wonder if the experience would have been different had I found a roommate instead of living alone in a new city. I haven't lived with a roommate in so many years that I think I was more scared of being stuck in a lease with someone that I maybe didn't want to be stuck with for a year. That was more scary to me than living alone and being on my own in this city. But I definitely think that if you have the option or you catch a vibe with someone that you would like to live with them, I think having a roommate here would have been a big game changer. It's just a built-in friend. Like, it's a built-in friend to explore the city with and do things with. And it definitely would have made things a little bit easier. But yeah, I have spent a lot of time alone in the last 6 months. I did go to dinner by myself one time, and I did go out to a bar by myself one time. I don't know. It was weird. Like, I was okay with it. It was fine. Like, nothing bad happened. I don't know. I'm a social person. I like to talk. I like to mingle, and it just felt a little awkward. I will say though, I have realized since moving here on my own that I'm not as social as I think I am. I'm super social once I'm comfortable. If you start a conversation with me, I will talk to you all day long about anything and everything that you ever want to talk about, right? Like, I am super outgoing and super social, but I have a hard time starting conversations with people. Like, because I don't think I've ever had to do it really. Like, I've never really had to like be the conversation and relationship initiator with new people, which is part of the experience that I was going for moving up here, was really stepping outside of my comfort zone, especially in that arena. And moving up here alone has definitely highlighted that like, that is not my strong suit. So spending all of this time alone has definitely been difficult, especially in the winter months. And y'all, I love Chicago. I think it's the most underrated city in the United States. And honestly, I will say that my opinion of winter so far, it's not nearly as cold as people make it out to be. We had 1 week of like crazy cold sub-zero temperatures after a snowstorm. The entire country was extremely cold that week though. So I don't think the cold has been that crazy. It's not the cold for me. And I really only felt this in the month of January. I have told multiple people that January sucked. Like, I really, really struggled in the month of January, and I didn't even realize that it was happening at the time. It was definitely seasonal depression, but I didn't realize what was happening at the time. It was gray the entire month, and the sunset at like 4:30 p.m. I can't deal with. That is the only part of winter that has been a problem for me. I don't feel like the cold has been that bad. I don't feel like the wind has been all that bad. I have been able to take walks pretty much every single day in the winter. It's only snowed twice. Like, I don't actually feel like the winter is that bad. But the month of January was not cool. Like, I can't deal with the gray skies and the dark. That was really, really tough for me. I'm aware of it now, so like next year I think I will plan a trip in January to kind of get myself away from it. I'm gonna be aware of it, but that is what I would warn against when people talk about how bad Chicago winter is. For me, it's just January. Like right now, the whole month of February has been like a complete game changer for me. The sun has been out. It hasn't rained very much. The cold, it's still cold, but like we've had days that were in the 50s and 60s. Like February's been fine. November and December, like, yeah, they were chilly, but like you have the holidays. So the energy is great in the city. It's really pretty. The lights are out. Like, it's gorgeous. January is what sucked. And Chicago is a completely different city when the weather is nice versus when it's not. Like, the energy in this city is night and day. It was 62 degrees yesterday, and there were so many people out walking by the lake, riding their bikes, dogs out at the park. Like, the energy was just, whew. It was so much better, and it reminded me, it was the breath of fresh air that I needed to remind me why I love this city so much, because in January, I was really being like, I was like counting down the days till July, till my lease is up so I can leave. Like, I was not happy at all. I hadn't really been able to leave my apartment, and as you can see, I live in a box, so like, I need to leave my apartment. It just wasn't good. But yesterday reminded me that like spring is coming, summer is coming. That is when this city comes alive. And I'm super, super excited. I think that mingling and meeting people is just a lot easier in the summertime because people are out 24/7. Like, I still do really love this city. I'm just very weary of January. I think my biggest and final tip or tidbit about moving to a city where you don't know anyone is to say yes to everything. Just say yes. If you think it could be even remotely fun and you're comfortable with what's going on and you think it's like a decent vibe, say yes. You have no idea who you're gonna meet. You have no idea what you're gonna fall into. You have no idea how that day or that event or that thing or those people could unfold. Like, just say yes. And that is really the attitude that I am going into spring and summer with, the attitude that I am going into meeting new friends with, the attitude that I am bringing in 2024 is just say yes. Put a smile on your face, have a good time in whatever situation you're in, bring a good perspective, bring a good energy, just say yes. So 6 months in, and y'all, it's been way harder than I thought. Like, way harder than I thought. I'm gonna give a 9-month update as well. That should put me like right at the start of summer. So spring will have happened and hopefully we'll be out and about and mingling. And I'm hoping my story has changed a little bit by about 9 months. I have listened to a lot of podcasts and watched a lot of videos about people saying that it honestly takes about a solid year for you to really start to feel comfortable in a new place. And I thought that that was a load of BS. No way it took a year, but y'all, I'm here to tell you, 6 months in and I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna be. Like, I have a really good feeling about this spring and this summer. So stay tuned for that 9-month update. Stay tuned for that 12-month update. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when those come out and you don't miss all of my updates and vlogs and things like that in between. I am so happy that you came and hung out today, and I will see you back next time.